7.62 by 39 sucks, and the AK platform pretty much sucks for combat applications. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel. I am your host, the average Ukraine war story time enjoyer that your mom said that we have at home. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to be discussing the 7.62 by 39 and stock AKs and my experience training guys that were issued a setup just like what I'm about to show you here in a minute. Now, this is going to be kind of a response video and to add on to M26 lemon grenades video discussing the drop off, like a rainbow, of 7.62 by 39 at extended ranges, as well as the issues that I have experienced while trying to train guys that were going to combat and were in combat while they were using a gun just like this. Now, this is a Wasserton. You're going to have to ignore the muzzle device that's on here. They had a slant muzzle device, and the pistol grip is also not going to be what they had. They were all rocking Russian surplus AKMs, right? I don't know if they were actual AK-47s, if they were that old, but they were pretty old. I'm not an AK, I don't know, autist, so I couldn't tell you exactly if it was an AK-47 or if it was just a newer version AKM rifle. But this rifle right here will serve the purposes that we need it to when discussing my experiences with the 7.62 by 39 and trying to use it for actual duty use, right? Now, timeline that we're talking about. 2014 to 2015, around the winter time, is when I would have been in Ukraine training the Ukrainian National Guard. Now, my role there was an advisor role. We trained around 260-ish to 300 Ukrainian National Guardsmen. Again, their issued rifle was a Russian 7.62 by 39 AK. We had to work on their safeties because their safety selector switch were all rusted up. Or a lot of them were rusted up, so we had to bend a lot of those out and do some stuff to make sure those were working good. But the officers were issued a 545 crink. They were side-folding crinks. Now, it's important to note, the only dudes that had any optics at all were the dudes rocking the SVD. Now, our sniper section trained the dudes with the SVD. I don't know if it was the SVD, if it was the Dragunov. I was just a corporal in the Army, right? So I didn't know. I looked over, it looked like the gun from Call of Duty, but our sniper section guys trained them on that. So I had zero experience with any of the dudes rocking the SVDs or the Dragunovs. I did have an extensive amount of time training their infantry guys, right? Their regular National Guard, run-of-the-mill infantry dudes that were rocking either the officers that were rocking the 545 side-folding crinks. They couldn't hit anything. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And the regular run-of-the-mill enlisted dudes that all had 7.62 by 39. A handful had underfolders, but like I said, the vast, vast majority had fixed stock, just standard AK with a nylon sling, an old Soviet nylon sling. Some of them, I'll post a picture on as a thumbnail, had the GP25 grenade launchers. That is what they had, okay? I think they got issued 4 magazines, so they had a total of 4 steel magazines that they were issued, and that is what that is the loadout that we're going to be discussing, okay? Now, our role in Ukraine was to train them on all basic combat tasks, all skill level 10 and some skill level 20 tasks, okay? So we trained them on land navigation, we trained them on how to employ a hand grenade properly, we trained them on how to enter and clear a room, enter and clear a building, we trained them on trench clearing, we trained them on large-scale maneuver, Battle Drill 1, platoon attack, Battle Drill 1, Alpha Squad attack, we trained them on react to contact, we trained them on a lot of stuff. And during that course of training, we trained them on how to qualify with their rifle. This is where things got pretty stupid pretty quick. Now, we zeroed their rifle. They had AK adjustment tools. We would set the rear sight. Now, I'm not going to mess with this one because this is not, this is 0 to somebody else, okay? It is my gun now, Nighthawk and I's gun, but it is 0 to somebody else, so I'm not going to mess with their stuff. But this rear sight, we would set to P for program. Of course, it's not going to focus. Focus for me, camera. Okay, it's not going to focus, but we would set the rear sight to P for program, and then we would level out the front sight, and then we would move the front sight with the AK adjustments tool. So you tighten it on the front, and it acts almost like a vise. It kind of pushes the sight left and right, and that is how we zeroed their guns, okay? Now, once we had them zeroed, and yes, like none of them were zeroed when we started this, okay? Once we had them zeroed, we went to what's called an Alt-C qualification, okay? An alternate qualification. This is a paper qual. They shot a 40-round qualification from 3 different positions. They shot it from the prone supported firing position, 20 rounds from the prone supported firing position, 10 rounds from the prone unsupported firing position, and 10 rounds from the kneeling unsupported firing position. The old Army qual is what they shot, our qual. And yes, we did dry fire and train them up to that qual and did a practice qual prior. The results were not good. None of them qualified. And the score to qualify was 23 out of 40. Okay? None of them qualified. After that, we thought, okay, well, we have to set up a known distance qualification. That is, for what we did, we just set up targets at 100, 200, and 300. Typically for the Army qualification, it would pop up at 50, pop up at 100, pop up at 150, pop up at 200, and 250, and 300 at different arrays at different times. We didn't have the technology to be able to put that type of qualification range in place for them. So we set up silhouette targets at 3 varying distances and did a modified version of our qualification where they still fired from those 3 positions, but we just told them when to switch position, right? Again, none of them qualified. The grouping of the rifles that we saw were horrible, okay? And a lot of that can be attributed to, yes, the 760 by 39 out at 300 and 250 and 300, or I would say past 200. A lot of it can be attributed to the 762 by 39, to the point where the guys were joking. Our interpreter told us the guys were joking about not just don't engage the 300, just save those 10 rounds and engage elsewhere, which is hilarious. That's an old Army thing. Oh, just don't shoot for the 300, save those rounds for elsewhere, right? So does the sighting system situation have a role to play in this? I would say yes. However, this rifle should be perfectly capable in anyone's hands to shoot from 0 to 300, right? Now you have a lot of drop off out at 300, okay? You start to get a little bit of drop off, but this rifle should be capable of shooting out to 300. I think what it comes down to, in my opinion, is a combination of the ergonomics, right? And of course, these guys, they were used to the ergonomics of the rifle. That is their rifle. That is the AK pattern rifle is their gun, similar to how the AR-15 is the United States gun. So what I can attribute it to is these guys had never done formal marksmanship, right? And when it came time to train them on the 760 or on the guns and actually do a qualification, a lot of them had never actually qualified at distance. They'd just done a short range, kind of like a 25-meter qualification is what it seemed like they were trained up to, right? And of course, they were the National Guard guys. But I think this anecdote is important because a lot of you guys, no offense, have probably not shot a Army qualification with an AK rifle that is built like this, right? And I think a lot of you guys would have a lot of major issues meeting the standard of 23 out of 40 in the example I just gave with a setup just like this. Now I want to fast forward. And while you guys all panic in the comment section, I want to fast forward to the Republic of Georgia. Now, my memory is a little hazy. It may have been beforehand. But when we went to the Republic of Georgia to do the exact same mission, because Crimea got invaded at one point, and then we went to Ukraine to assist the Ukrainians and training to fight the Russians because they were in active combat with the Russians and they wanted advisors, that was me, to come train them on all the things that they were bad at. Now, I think it was previous to the Ukraine trip, we were in the Republic of Georgia. Now, in the Republic of Georgia, our role was exactly the same. Partner with the Georgian forces and train them because they just got their asses handed to them when the Russians invaded Georgia, right? So we trained them on the same mission, except the Georgians were smart. I don't know if it was a government contract. I don't know who was directly responsible for them receiving a ton of AR-15s. These AR-15s were Bushmaster. They were full auto Bushmaster AR-15s from my memory, okay? Now, I remember all of us, we had the Colt M4s, and it was the old 3-round burst is what we were rocking. So we thought it was really cool that these dudes, these Georgians, had full auto Bushmasters. Okay, at the time, that was the coolness, I guess, in 2014 or whenever we went, right? So, well, what's more important is we would do reflect all the similar training. Now, I was assigned to the 173rd. We did all the similar training, right? We did close quarters qualifications, reflexive fire, and known distance qualification, right? Guess what? The vast majority of these dudes with bone stock, backup iron sight, bone stock, Bushmaster M4 full auto guns, right? AR-15s, the vast majority of them qualified. Why? Why is that? I don't know. But I think it has something to do with the 5.56, the modularity or the ease of use of the platform. Because yes, you can run an AK and just leave the safety off for the duration of the drill, right? I can sweep the safety on or off, and I can just leave the safety off for the duration of the drill and then put it back on. But what we were trying to get these guys to do was utilize the safety whenever they weren't actively engaging, just like you would an AR-15 safety. So maybe you came into a room, sweep the safety off, engage said dude, okay, clear the room. All right, room is clear, safety on. The Ukrainians did not like that. They did not like that philosophy. They just wanted to keep the guns on fire. Ask me how I know. So what is my deductive reasoning? Having trained roughly 600 Georgians and roughly 300 Ukrainians, and there's other times when I've done joint operations and trained other countries too. But my experience is guys in the United States will tell you, okay, this is the simplest gun in the world. You put, and I'll just show you, and this is how we get banned from YouTube, okay? To clear it, you open the safety up, rack it twice, and you're clear, okay? Obviously, you do a visual inspection the second time, and you're clear. That's it. To load it, go into your workspace, take your 1-round detachable box magazine, rock it in, and then rack it, okay? That is how you load it, and then you would put it on safe. That's how you would rock it, right? Yeah, it's simple enough, but here's the deal. Even for dudes whose nation relied on the AK pattern weapon sucked with that platform. None of their officers, going back to Ukraine, none of the officers in Ukraine qualified at all with their 5.45 side folding cranks. Now, their defense, it was like an 8 or 9 inch barrel in 5.45 by 39. But still, if you think about what the expectation is of an officer in the Ukrainian army, their expectation was they should be able to qualify with their rifle. They're the ones that are supposed to be encouraging the training, right? And they sucked. So, 5.45 cranks, not good. Not good past 100 meters, okay? They did not fare well with their personally assigned weapon for that qualification in Ukraine. Let me just put it that way. So what is the message? What is the message? If you guys are in the United States and you're like, Trench, should I get 5.56? Should I get 7.62 by 39? Well, first and foremost, would not recommend a bone stock AK. From my experience, even if for a trained dude. Now, can a dude train up to a high standard with a bone stock 7.62 by 39 AK? Yes. You can get really good with any gun. Here's where, from my experience, what I've noticed. It's a lot easier to train untrained people with the AR-15, give them a class, show them their holds, and they are more effective with 5.56 out to 300 and beyond, okay? Out to 300 and beyond with a 5.56 rifle. That is my experience. So if you were to ask me, Trench, is the AK a good gun? I would say it's a cool gun, but I would say it's antiquated. If I had to go back to Ukraine today, I would not grab an AK. I would probably grab a Knight's Armament, probably 11.5 with a suppressor and a red dot, and have a magnifier in my pocket with a Surefire light. If I didn't have that, then I would probably, depending on what my role was, but that's probably what I would run with a Glock 19 on my hip or my M17, right? That's what I would recommend. I would definitely not recommend dudes go out and invest in the AK right now. Now, if you're planning on Zenikoing out an AK and you just like it, that's cool. It's a cool gun. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying for effective use at not just 100 meters and in, 200 meters and in, I'm saying at longer distances, the 7.62 by 39 is not good. Now, the 5.45 is very, very similar to the 5.56. However, you're still handicapped by this thing, the Kalashnikov, right? So if you were to ask me, Trench, I need a fighting gun, what should it be? AR-15 all day long. 5.56 is everywhere. Magazines are everywhere. It's easy to use. It's easy to clean. It's easy to maintain. It's easy to operate. You can freaking actually put optics on it quickly and efficiently. Now, I know guys are going to freak out, but dude, there's a side rail. I have AKs that are built out. Okay, I'm going to preface that right now. But dudes are going to be like, there's a side mounting optic rail and you can put different furniture on it, Trench, and go, it's 2025, update your AK. No, I'm not going to do all that because it's a pain in the ass to update an AK and it's harder to use. If you put, who's like a famous dude? Clayco 47, right? He's an AK guy. I'll try to remember to tag him in this video. Put Clayco, who's really good at competing and running an AK-47, or an AKM, sorry, an AKM rifle, a Kalashnikov. Put that dude against a regular AR dude is probably going to beat him. I would say a mediocre AR dude that competes is going to beat Clayco 47 with his AK. Why is that? Well, it's an easier gun to use, okay? This gun is it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily antiquated. I would say this is like, when I view an AK nowadays, I think of CZ. CZ, it's a hype beast gun, right? It's a collector's gun. It's a fun gun. Yeah, if you get clapped by a 7.62 by 39 at 50 meters, you're going to die. If you get clapped by a dude at 7.62 by 39 out to 300, you're going to die. It's a freaking freight train flying through the air. It's a fat, slow-moving chungus that will kill you, right? I'm not saying it's not an effective bullet. I'm not saying it's not an effective gun if you hit what you want to hit, right? It's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in 2025, and I guess in 2014, when I trained all those dudes, the AR was a better gun in 2014. I have anecdotal evidence, okay? I don't know if those are oxymorons, right? But I have a direct experience training dudes that were running 7.60 by 39 AKs and 5.45 cranks, and then going and training dudes with Bushmaster AR-15s, right? And the dudes with Bushmasters that were used to AKMs, keep in mind the Georgians were used to AKMs, they performed significantly better with the AR-15. Same block of instruction, same POI, same lesson plan, same basic training classes that we taught them, right? The same dude. I was just a corporal. I think when we were in Georgia, I was like a PFC, private first class. And then when I was in Ukraine, I was a corporal. Same classes. Every paratrooper down to the lowest level was assigned a class. So if you could be a private grade 2 and you were assigned a class and you had to teach your squad leader and your platoon sergeant the class prior to deployment. That was our mission. We were there to advise and train. Now, obviously, some of the Joeys would be like assistant instructors. It wouldn't be the primary instructor. But still, the expectation was there because you guys know that on deployment, dudes get sick, dudes get freaking pink eye, dudes get whatever, right? Because the chow is bad in Ukraine. So when a dude got sick, the assistant instructor would have to step up and instruct the class, right? So all that to say, if you were to ask me, Trench, should I get a AK or should I get an AR-15? I would definitely tell you this thing has gone the way of the dodo bird. It is a collector's piece at this point for effectiveness. Is it still cool? Yes, it wins all the cool points. Is 7.62 by 39 still an awesome round up close for barrier defeating capabilities and killing capabilities up close in Minecraft? Yeah, it's awesome. But once you start using it, getting more dynamic with it, moving around on the flat range a little bit and shooting different targets and different engagements, even ask a guy like freaking M26 Lemon Grenade or ask a guy like Clayco 47, it's a lot harder to get good with an AK compared to an AR-15. And look at guys like us in the 173rd back in the day that went out and trained the Ukrainians and the Georgians. Trust me, if I could have given the Ukrainians Bushmaster ARs and they could have qualified on that, then that would have been what we did. That would have been what they used, right? But yeah, I think I'll end it here. That's really all the things to tell you about 762 by 39 from my experience in the real world. You know, it works, but it's not great. All right. I'm a 5.56 enjoyer. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm sure guys will get really heated about their favorite freaking, you guys know how the internet is at this point. Dudes will freak out and panic because I made fun of their 7.62 by 39, even though this is just my experience with the caliber and my experience training dudes running the guns, right? Okay. Thanks for being here, guys. If you want to support the channel, join the Patreon. Until next time, this will be Trench Grenade, your average 7.62 by 39 hater that your mom said that we have at home, signing out. Cheers.
Wolverines!